Good morning everyone. So today we are back in our next class and today we are going to do the remaining part of our chapter 3, that was kinds of subordinate clauses. Now in the beginning of our chapter, that means in the beginning of this chapter, clauses, we had discussed first of all about the differences between clause and phrases. Yes. So in our previous video, we had discussed some of the points regarding what are the differences between phrases and clause. Like, see, first of all, if you are going, because now we are proceeding towards our this types of subordinate clause. So before that, we need to understand. Firstly, the main thing is going to be what are the differences between phrase and clause. This is the most important part. Okay. If you don't understand what is phrase and clause, you cannot go towards this the types of clauses, that is your principal clause and subordinate clause, and then again we have to move towards our kinds of subordinate clauses. So you will be lacking, lacking behind if you don't understand any of the part in between. So every this parts, they are linked with each other. If you don't understand phrase and clause, you cannot understand what are the types of clauses. Okay, and in the very same way, you cannot even understand what the types of phrases also. So that's why we have to first make it clear what is phrases, what is clauses. First of all, you take a sentence. You know what is a sentence, right? Now, sentence is what which gives us a complete meaning, okay, which makes a complete sense to share some conversations. When we are making any conversations, we are speaking something, and when we speak those things, when we speak so that we give a complete sense. We talk those type of things where we get some sense, we make some sense, we give some meaning, right? Meaningful sense, they are called sentences. Now come to the parts. As we know, there are two parts, subject and predicate. Keep that aside. Now our main focus is on phrases and clauses. Now, phrase does not give us complete meaning, you all know that, right? Then clause give us some meaning. Now, the main difference, or how you can identify phrase and clause, is that first of all, phrase does not have a subject and a predicate and a finite verb. I hope you are clear about the finite verb, because the three types I have given you, they are non-finite. Now, okay, now what are finite verb? Finite verb are those which are coming under present tense and past tense. Clear? Suppose leave, L-E-A-V-E. This is coming in present tense, and left, that is coming in past tense. So these two are finite verb. If you get it in a sentence, he left, okay, then it is a finite verb. But if there is another verb present there, then it is not a finite verb. Okay, let us talk part wise. First of all, finite verbs are those which have present tense and past tense, okay, and non-finite are what? Which have you understand present participle, all the verbs ending in ing, that is present participle, or that was called gerund. Then past participle. See, many words are such that they are the same words are repeating for past tense also and past participle also. Just for example, just now the word I said, left. See, in past tense also we are using left, in past participle also we are using left. So you might be having this question in your mind that how to identify them. So in that case, we'll be talking that later. I won't forget this. I will tell it. Okay. So now, if there is present tense and past tense, then it is your finite verb. And if there is no finite verb, then which are non-finites? We have a present participle, past participle, and the infinitive. Infinitive means, you know, that is 2 plus main verb. Then comes our present participle ending in ing. Okay, and then past participle, that is, you know already, just like leave, left, left. So the last part which is coming left, that is our past participle. Let's take one more example, like do. Do is the present tense, did is the past tense. Now done is our past participle. So this done will be our non-finite if it comes in a sentence. Okay, so now the first thing was this, there should be no subject, no predicate, no finite verb. Similarly, it's the very different in clause, that is, we must have a subject, we must have a finite verb. In phrase, there will be no finite, there can be non-finite, but there will be no finite. Okay, and what else? Yeah, there will be no subject, there will be no finite. Okay, so now next, coming to our types of clauses, that is independent clause and subordinate clause. Now independent clause okay, now let's talk about clause. Clause will have, first of all, clause will have what? It will have a subject, it will have a finite verb, not just a verb. Okay, it will have a finite verb, and it might have a predicate. See, sometimes it may happen that clauses can also appear to be like a sentence. Okay, if you remember, then I had given one question regarding the relation among sentence, phrase and clause. If you remember that, then the last point which I gave, there was written that a clause may be able to stand alone. If it stands alone, then it might be a sentence. If it does not stand alone, it might be a part of a longer sentence. Just like in our the last assignment which I had given you, there most of you have been able to do it and some of you have not been able to do. So there were some sentences, two subordinate clauses were present. So that means a sentence can be longer, and within that long sentence can contain one or more than one clause, or maybe more than two clause. Okay, it may contain. Okay, so now, yeah, as I was saying, I had said something regarding this. What was that? Yeah, non-finite, finite and non-finite. How will you understand? Okay, I had given you the example of left. Okay, he left. Does it need any more thing, any more group of words to give you a complete meaning? No, it doesn't. That means it is an independent clause. Okay, it's done. And also it is just a clause. But if there was written, for example, if there is coming just like this past participle, because that is falling under your non-finite, has left, have left, in that way. Because what happens here is finite verb will be containing of only one verb. Okay, if you see this sentence here, what was the sentence? He left. There is only one verb, left. But if you see this sentence, he has left, here are two verbs. One is auxiliary, has, and then left. Okay, so this thing is important to remember, to differentiate between our finite and non-finite verb. I hope you are now clear about finite and non-finite verb. And yes, one more thing, for your better understanding, I have given you one example I made a box, and in the question answer only you will find it. See, the question answer will appear to be quite long for you. Okay, you don't always think that you have to learn all those things. I have written those in a long way, in a descriptive. I have described them. Okay, I have described them because right now what the situation is, I can't see you, you can see me, but we cannot interact with each other, right? So this is how I can interact with you, by giving you this answers or this note, so that they are described there, and if you read them carefully you will be totally cleared about it. Okay, you will be totally clarified about it. Now if you see that that box, one small box was made, there was marked that it is a phrase and this is a clause. So if you see that sentence together, then you will understand the difference between phrase and clause. Okay, now let's come to our types of clause, that is independent and subordinate clause. Now see, in our last video we had talked that if the meaning is complete, okay, when you read a sentence you find, first of all, to understand which is independent clause and which is subordinate clause, you need to first see that is it giving you a complete meaning or not. If it is not, that means it is subordinate clause. Okay, just like in our last video we had discussed about this. Let us take some words can be like unless, until, if, then no matter what. No matter what, then what? It's not complete, right? And unless you do this, suppose a sentence is there, unless you do this, and I have stopped, I'm not saying anything, that means you are expecting something more. You are expecting something more from the sentence, that unless you don't do what, and if I don't do, then what's going to happen. So those things are when this sentences or this meaning is not complete for you, then it is your subordinate clause. Let me read it out for you. It's written, a clause that depends, see, from the name itself. Just like independent, it does not need any other clause, it does not depend on any other clause. Okay, if it is conveying you the meaning, if you are getting the complete meaning, it is independent, it is an independent clause or main clause, or principal clause or main clause, or it has actually your two names, that is principal clause and independent clause also it is said. It is called main clause also, and yes, and then subordinate clause is also known as dependent clause. Now a clause which depends on another clause to make its meaning complete, that is your subordinate clause. And some words are like that, if, when, which joins, you know, some words which relates the both the clauses, okay, or both the sentences. Okay, now coming to our subordinate clause types. First of all, there are three types, that is adjective, adverb and noun. It's just like the previous one, that was your phrases, the types of phrases. There were also the same adjective phrases, adverb phrases and noun phrases. Now first of all you need to identify the types, that means the parts of speech. First of all, the very first thing which you need to identify is which are appearing as adjective, which are appearing as adverb and which are appearing as noun. Okay, then it becomes much more easier for you. That's the very easiest trick to find out. Okay, now let me let's first talk about, and Yes, one more thing. When you will be when we have reached to this point, please keep your book in front of you. If you have not, if the book is not in front of you, please pause this video and get your books, and then you can start again. Okay, so now we are first going to talk about the adjective phrases. Adjective clauses. That clause which acts like an adjective is adjective clause. Now first of all, let's take one example that's from your book itself. The boy wearing a black shirt. Now adjective is what? It tells us more about the noun. Here the phrase is marked here, or it is colored, highlighted here with pink color, that is wearing a black shirt. We are talking about shirt. What type of shirt he was wearing? The boy was wearing. He was wearing a black shirt. So it tells you the quality of the shirt. Okay. So that is adjective. Now when we have to change our phrase to clause, we must make sure that subject needs to be present there and finite verb needs to be present there. Okay, and if needed, predicate can be there or cannot be there. Generally it has, actually. Sometimes it does not have. We can omit also sometimes. So the boy wearing a black shirt is my brother. So now this sentence, if we write as adjective clause, then how should we write? The boy, it will remain the same because there is no change. The main change is coming under wearing a black shirt. Now this wearing, now see, it's a very nice part to first see here that phrase is here. Okay, this is how you can also understand that this is a phrase, wearing, because wear, W-E-A-R, this is a main verb and it's ending with what? ing. That means it's a non-finite verb. Okay, so this, when in our phrase we can have non-finites. So this wearing is non-finite. Okay, that means we have to mention, while we write in our adjective clause, we'll have to write in such a way that we'll have a subject also and we'll have a finite verb. Now if we have to change this wearing to a finite verb, because this is non-finite, wearing is a non-finite, if we have to change, then we have to bring what do you call it, subject first of all. Then what should we write? The boy. For the boy, what we will use? Who will be working as subject here. Is wearing. Okay, this is coming in present tense. Okay, is wearing a black shirt, is my brother. Okay, now you will now see the points which are there. This 4 points, if you can see these points. Okay, these 4 points. First of all, the first point is, it usually answers the question which one. Okay, for example, it answers the question who. It can also answer the question who or which one. So who is wearing a black shirt? Who is wearing a black shirt? Now adjective clause, first of all, see, any adjective, it describes about a noun. Okay, here we are discussing about what? We are discussing about that boy. Okay, the boy. And who, which boy, which one we are talking about? We are talking about particularly that boy who is wearing the black shirt. Okay, second point, this is it can be useful to you, but this part is important. It usually answers the questions which one. You can mark this line. Secondly, this number 2 point is very important. Your adjective clauses generally starts with the words. You mark this line: who, whose, whom, which, that. Now there are some divisions to use these words. Generally, who, I think you know about it, because these are relative pronouns actually. Who is used with living beings. Okay, then which is used for non-living things and animals also, and that will be used for both living being, non-living beings also, and animals also. And for living beings we only use who, and which or that can be used for both but which will only be used for non-living things and animals. Okay, then what else? Yeah, third point here is sometimes this word, the word with which we relate, okay, this who, whose, whom, these words can be omitted. We can opt to not write sometime. For example, let me give you one example. Hey, what are you searching? Suppose there is a conversation going on. Suppose I am saying to someone, hey, what are you searching? So the person replies me back that I was searching for my bag. So then maybe the person is not able to find the bag. So suddenly I get to see the bag, or somehow it comes. I can see that bag. Somehow I find out that bag, and then I say to the person that here is the bag that you were searching for. Listen this sentence properly. Here is the bag that you were searching for. So now, which is the word here that we are relating both the clauses? Here is the bag you were searching for. That is the word which is relating both the clauses. So this that can be taken out. We can opt to not use it. If it happens that still that means with taking it out also the meaning will not be hampered, or it will the meaning will not change in any way, then we can do that. For example, if you see in your third point only, an example is given there. Here is the purse that you have been looking for. That is omitted. For example, here is the purse that you have been looking for, and from here if we take out that, if we just don't write that, if you don't use that, here is the purse you have been looking for, does this make any change? No. So sometimes we can remove the relative word. And the very important part is that an adjective clause should be placed as close as possible to the noun it describes. This is very important. You will write, we are discussing about a noun, and you are writing the relative word quite far away from the noun, then it does not make any sense. It will make something some other sense maybe. So it should be placed very close to the noun we are talking about. Suppose the boy who is wearing a black shirt is my brother. Here if we write see, here the word which is relating is the word who. If we write this who somewhere else, it does not make any sense, or we will be confused in ourselves that what the sentence is actually trying to mean. Okay, I hope these 4 points are clear to you. Then comes our adverb clause. Now see, again is the same thing. Adverb clause is that which acts as an adverb. For example, okay, before that let's go to our next page. Okay, page number 16. There you see the first point, that is it usually modifies a verb. Now what is the job of an adverb? What does it do? It actually talks more about, or it gives us more meaning, or it actually we can say that it gives some more meaning regarding the verb, adjective, or another adverb. Okay, it describes better. So in that case, what happens here is, since most of the verbs denote an action, we all know that. See, first of all, if we are talking about adverb, that means we are also talking about a verb, right? So if so you just see this sentence. Since most of the verbs denote an action, and adverb clause tells something about the action mentioned in another clause. So it tells us more about the action which is happening. Okay. It may tell the time, place or manner of the action. It may compare or contrast the action with any other. Accordingly, we get an adverb clause of time, place, manner. Okay. Now you come to your previous page, that is page number 15. Just for example, the sentence which is marked here is that in case of the train being late, we shall catch a bus. Now see, here is an adverb. This is an adverb phrase, right? Because being late, B-E-I-N-G. This being is what? It's a non-finite verb. So in this case, this is an adverb phrase. Now if we have to write this adverb phrase to adverb clause, how do we write that? In case. In case means what? Our adverb tells us more about what? We had got here time, place, manner, cause, purpose, effect or condition. Adverb describes about the verb more. And what is our action here? The action of the train getting late. The train is supposed to be late, and in that case, that is becoming what? In case the train becomes late, this is our cause, or that maybe it can act as a condition. Yeah, it better actually acts as a condition. What happens here is the train is at its right time. But in case, suppose there is a condition that it gets late, then what? We shall catch a bus. Okay. So in case of the train being late, now this part is a phrase. So if we have to change this, in case will remain same, and the train is late. Is what here? It is our finite verb. Now you will also okay, now let's see this second point. Adverb clauses are, go to your next page. The second point, adverb clauses are usually introduced by the following words. For place, there are some words. For time, there are some words. That means these words are the ones which will sorry which will help us to relate with the that means which will be helpful to start our clauses. Okay. And the last part is coming as noun clause. Now this noun clause, if you remember in our while we were discussing about phrases, then we got this thing that noun clauses answers what, if you remember then. So here also it does the same thing. Just see the example. Shraddha expected to pass. Now as we had talked that to pass, what is to pass? That is non-finite. It is an infinitive. Infinitive means it's non-finite, so it cannot be a clause. So if we have to write it in a clause, then how do we write it? We will, and also the meaning is incomplete. If we only see to pass, that means the meaning is incomplete. Now if we have to change to a clause, then we would have to first of all mention one subject, then we have to mention a finite verb, and then the remaining thing. So now you see in sentence 1, you can see your book also. In sentence 1, the expression to pass conveys only incomplete meaning and does not have any finite verb also. Yes, we just now we talked about it. Therefore, it's a phrase. And in sentence 2, the expression that she would pass has a subject. She is the subject. And what is the finite verb? Would pass or would. So it's a clause. Since it is doing the work of a noun, it is a noun clause. And how do we understand that it's doing the job of a noun clause? Because it's answering us what, expects what. Shraddha expected. What did she expect? She expected to pass. So this is our noun. Okay. Now regarding noun clause, there are two more points to be seen here. First of all, this noun clause may be acting as subject. It can be acting as a subject of the verb. It can be acting as an object of the verb, or it can be acting as a cause. Second number is a noun clause is often introduced by that. Generally, it is introduced by the word that, and it also may be introduced by some other words in case of question. Okay, in case of question words, they can be why, what, how. These are all question words, and there can also be sometimes if or whether. So a note is given here. Actually, we should not judge a clause by the word introducing it. It is important to understand its function in a sentence before saying it is okay. Yeah, this part is also important for you. See, we should not judge a clause by the word introducing it. Okay, the thing is, if you see that the noun clause is underlined, the adjective clause is underlined, the adverb clause is underlined, don't judge in that way, or don't just don't go for identifying and write that this word is there, that means it is noun clause, this word is there, that means it is your adverb clause. You first need to understand that what it is acting as, what it is functioning as, what is the function of that word in the sentence. Then only you will write it as noun, adjective or adverb. If you read these points, just read these points very clearly, because here in between there are many such things which will clarify your confusion. And also, if you match, that means these points with the examples given, then it will be much more clearer to you. You go through this video, and then if you have any doubt regarding this, then you can talk to me, and I'll be there to clarify your doubts regarding any of the part. And then later we'll be doing this remaining exercise in our book. And yeah, till then, stay safe and stay at your home. Thank you.